The Green City Startup is an initiative of the City of Joburg, which encourages green entrepreneurs to develop ideas in building, energy, water, transport, and waste. Our show keeps you informed about the competition, the entrepreneurs, their progress, and the green economy in general. This is the Green City Startup Show. This week, we take a tour to the Hector Pieterson Memorial. We have training from the mentors at Inquisition. Sophia Town unveils a commemorative wall, and we chat with Kudzai Kutukwa from the Emerging Farmers Market on the big interview. Dumelang Afshen, hello and welcome to the Green City Startup Show. My name is Pieterson, and for the next while, we'll be exploring the City of Joburg and the green economy. Before we go any further, find us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, The Green City Startup, and on Twitter at The GC Startup. We'd love to connect with you and hear your thoughts about the show. Soweto is an exciting part of Joburg with interesting things to do and see. Locals and tourists have access to entertainment, adventure activities, and historical sites. We joined a city sightseeing bus tour to visit the Hector Pieterson Memorial.
Through this tour, we get to show you, or we get to showcase the lifestyle of Sowetans, how they live, the history on its own, the experience. The reason for you to hop on and hop off is for you to experience, interact with people around the locals. So you're not only sitting in a bus going through a formal tour, but you also get to experience, because experience is one of the best teachers.
Firstly, for us, we're going to start up there at the Hector Pieterson Memorial, whereby we will be learning more about the student uprising happened in 1976. When the students of South Africa, they were protesting against using Afrikaans as the medium of instruction. They didn't want to be taught in Afrikaans. During that time, Afrikaans, it was more like an oppressing language to black people. So students decided to protest against it. Their memorandum, it was drafted on the 13th of June 1976. On the 16th, they were supposed to go and submit the memorandum at the Bantu Education Department. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. On their way to submit the memorandum, students were stopped by the police. As they were stopped by the police, they were given some time to go back to their classes. But there was the war between the students and the police. One of the boys by the name of Hector Pieterson, he was shot dead on that march. Not only Hector Pieterson, but more than 500 students were lost on that march. Nowadays in South Africa, the 16th of June, it's a public holiday. We call it a youth day. Usually on the 16th, you'll find people wearing school uniform as part of remembering all those students who died on that march. Where we're standing right now, this is the Hector Pieterson Memorial. This is a memorial. On the other side, the building that you see, it's a museum. What you see around in this part, it's got a meaning symbolizing something about the student uprising, which happened in 1976. I'm sure some of you, they are familiar with that picture. That was the famous picture which was taken on the March of June 16, 1976. That picture was taken by the journalist called Sam Zima. Unfortunately, after the March of June 16, the guy who took that picture, he was harassed by the police. Those people you see on the picture there, the one who's carried on the picture, that Hector Pieterson, this place, it was named after him. And the one who's carrying Hector Pieterson, that Mbuiso Makovu, who went missing after the March of June 16, 1976. From what he heard about that guy, he went to Botswana. Then to Botswana, he got a scholarship in Nigeria. Then that was his last letter coming from Nigeria. Since then, we are not sure what happened to that guy. The lady with the high five from the picture, that Hector Pieterson's sister, Antoinette Sitole. Lucky enough, that lady, she's still alive, working inside the museum. As I said, what you see around, it's got a meaning, symbolizing something about June 16. We've got this wall today. We call this wall a wall of void. Each and every stone on that wall represent the students who were participated on the March of June 16, 1976. About plus or minus 20,000 students who were there on that march. Those spaces that you see, They are not the passing way, but they symbolize missing stories about June 16. After the March of June 16, students were harassed by the police. Some of them decided to leave this country. From what you heard, some they went to Botswana, some they went to Nigeria, in different places around Africa. They went to exile.
Visiting historical sites like the Hector Pieterson Memorial is important. It gives us a window into the past and allows us to celebrate how far we've come as a nation. If you'd like to see more of our feature stories and discover other great places to visit in Joburg, you can log on to our website, TheGreenCityStartup.co.za. On our website, you'll also find information to help you grow as an entrepreneur. Next, Brandon, our social media guru, has more helpful hints and tips.
In today's Hints and Tips, I'll be talking about the importance of treating your supply chain like a marriage, with these tips from Unreasonable. First up, it allows for honest and frequent communication. Be sure to regularly meet with your suppliers in person, and when you can't, do so via platforms like Skype. This will allow your suppliers to feel included. Secondly, build trust. You can sign all the legal documents you like, NDAs, MOUs, you name it. But if you don't trust your suppliers and vice versa, you won't get very far. Next, make it a win-win. The best partnerships are those where both partners' needs are met. Meeting a supplier's needs doesn't always mean paying them the highest price. Instead, mutually determining price will go a long way to ensure both parties are happy. Lastly, capitalize on resources. Your suppliers may have the knowledge and expertise on something that you don't. Having a strong relationship with them means you get access to their skills. So to summarize, it allows for frequent communication, it builds trust, make it a win-win, and finally, capitalize on resources. Be sure to follow us on social media, where you can find these hints and tips. On Facebook, it's The Green City Startup, and on Twitter, at The GC Startup. Until next time, keep focused.
In our competition, our contestants have access to tutors to help them in their journey. I'm not too great with business terminology, but fortunately, our tutors have always got an entrepreneurial concept to teach us. Next, Talking with Tutors.
Hello and welcome to Talking with Tutors. Today, Nsige and I would be discussing the pitching techniques. Nsige?
So basically, when you have a business or product or service, whatever it is, you have different investors, community members that will be part of your business. So you want to be able to pitch this to them as effectively as possible. And one of the things you can use, or the techniques you can use, is the milk bottle. So just like when you go to the shop and you buy a bottle of milk and it has all the content on it, you basically create a template, or you can download one, and you write down the name of the company, the product, the service, how much it costs, the benefits, and who can actually use it. And just like a milk bottle, all that information is available on a little box.
That is very interesting. Another one is storyboarding. Now this is where you get, a bit personal and tell us more about your customer. So you'll tell us about Nsigi, who wakes up at 4 a.m. in the morning, catches a Text X5, and the kind of problems that Nsigi experiences. You must have your business idea and your solution to the problem that Nsigi would experience. So you take us through the journey of your customer, how they feel, where they play, where they relax, and where they work.
That's pretty cool. And I feel like you can link a storyboard to a prototype, right? So when you have a business, if it's a service, you can sort of write down the process. And if it's a product, you can create an actual prototype. So you pick one element of the service and you prototype it. And through that process, you actually want to see, does this work? And by sort of bringing it to life with your hands, you can see what things you can improve and how you can better streamline the service for the people you'll be servicing.
I see there's a lot of arts and crafts coming in.
Very creative
The last
stuff.
one are the three, what we call the 3 P's of business. So these are your business building blocks. So here you talk about this, the problem, your solution, you'll mention your customer, tell us exactly who your key partners are, who are you going to be working with. You'll also at the bottom include your cost and exactly how much you'll be earning, what the amount that you'd be using to buy your products, where you're getting them from, what the current solution. What are customers currently paying for it? And exactly how you're going to make it cheaper for them. All right, so those are
Pretty cool. Very simple techniques I think people can use.
All right, those were very interesting. Thank you so much, Ntsiki.
Thanks, it was great chatting to you.
All right, so we hope you know more about pitching techniques. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye.
Still to come, we have a training session with a mentor from Inquisition. We visit a memorial wall in Sophia Town, and we have a chat on our white couch with City from Emerging Farmers Market on the big interview. We still have lots in store for you right here in the Green City Startup, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Green City Startup Show. If you log on to our website, TheGreenCityStartup.co.za, you will find more entrepreneurial resources about matters in and around the City of Joburg. Here at the Green City Startup, we aim to develop a culture of learning. Part of that is getting training from business mentors. Next, a mentorship session with an expert from Inquisition.
The vital foundation for your design journey is built on gathering insights from the actual people who you're developing your product for. This means that you need a deep understanding of their lives in order to understand the context in which your product would be used. If you ignore or rush through this vital step, it's likely that you'll be wasting your time and effort by coming up with a product that doesn't actually appeal to your customer's wants or needs, one which your potential customer won't want to buy or use. One way of identifying, capturing, and analyzing these potential customer insights is by going out into their world with a camera. Start with careful research and planning. Who is your target audience? Where do they spend their time? A specific neighborhood, coffee shop, or a shopping center? What do you hope to learn about them? Then grab a camera, even a simple phone camera works well, and leave your desk. Go out to where you think your customers are. Your goal is to see the world from your customers' perspectives, to better understand why, when, and for what purpose they would use your product. Take photos and video, with consent of course, of what your customers are doing, what the surrounding environment looks like, who they're interacting with, and anything else you want to capture. You'll start to collect a story that you and your team can use as a source of inspiration to help you get a deeper understanding of the problem that you want to solve with your product. During this process, it's important to adopt new eyes, or an objective view, so that you're not projecting your own bias onto what you're seeing. Remember that you're trying to see your customer's world as it is and as accurately as possible, so you can make products that are based on real situations. This camera capture exercise forms part of a bigger design research process. See our website for the other activities that you should consider incorporating. The following are a few tips to get you started on the process of learning about your customers through your camera lens. 1. Plan your research. Decide what questions you want answered through your pictures. You will probably learn more than you had planned to, so leave room for surprises. 2. People and places. Plan who you want to be talking to and where that will take place. 3. Take pictures. Follow your planning guide to take pictures, but also feel free to explore any other relevant areas you may not have foreseen. Also take note of intangible things, such as emotions experienced or smells in the area. Remember to get permission to take pictures. 4. Learnings. Gather all your pictures and discuss learnings with your team. Try to uncover as many insights as possible, and then group them into themes that you can explore further. See our brief guide to camera capture on our website, where you will also find resources to start exploring the full design research experience. Thanks for watching.
The 1955 forced removals of Sophia Town left hundreds misplaced and exiled from their homes. Recently, the Trevor Huddleston Centre unveiled a commemorative wall built to honour those who were persecuted in the historical event.
I'm delighted to welcome you here today to share a short ceremony to commemorate the legacy of Sofar Town. This building, which we have named in honor of Father Trevor Huddleston, is where we remember the loss of our community and where we are able to begin the journey of rebuilding, because we have a piece of Sofar Town that all of us can call home. I invite you now to join me on the balcony as we reveal the first phase of the Heritage Wall, so you can see how it is intended to become an important part of commemorating the past.
The reason we're here today, the launch of the memorial screen that's built out of layers of reinforcing mesh. I think the starting points were quite good basic urban principles. How we rendered it, how we built it in the end was just using materials that we were quite comfortable with as a practice, which is a combination of lightweight and structural steel, which traditionally is not a kind of material that should stand on its own, but here we've kind of repurposed it, I think, quite effectively.
The significance of this wall for the residents is that those who were present had been given the chance that they could identify the areas where they used to stay during the days of Sofar Town.
I'm so happy to be one of the people here that got my name on there. It's like, you know, you back onto the map. And this is one of the most wonderful things that happened to Sofar Town.
Very happy. I didn't know what to do. Very, very happy. With the street where I was born, I was very happy.
It's a historic event, and building itself is historic. It brings back memories personally for me of what was like in the 40s, 50s and 60s.
One of our focus areas is agriculture, and we've noticed that farmers face many challenges like access to markets or incorrect farming methods. We spoke to Kutukwa from Emerging Farmers Exchange to find out how his business is assisting farmers with these challenges. Next, the big interview. In studio, I have a founder of the Emerging Farmers Exchange who will be giving us some entrepreneurial guidance as well as guidance on the entrepreneurial and agricultural sector. We have Kudzi. Welcome to the show, Kudzi.
Thank you very much for having me.
Kudzi, could you please just lay the foundation for us? What does Emerging Farmers Exchange do?
The Emerging Farmers Exchange is basically an online platform for connecting your big buyers of agricultural produce with emerging farmers that do not have access to market.
And what challenges, what agricultural challenges do you guys aim to solve or challenge?
Well, the bigger challenge that we're aiming to solve was access to market as well as price dissemination. So essentially with your emerging farmers, we discovered that for the most part, they do not have access to market, basically because they're selling, the volume of produce that they have is very low on an individual basis. And in addition to that, they're not aware of what their produce is actually worth. So what we're trying to do is to aggregate all of those volumes such that the volumes of produce become bulky and they can easily be then passed on to a big buyer at a price that is near or slightly above market related pricing.
And is it just the farmer themselves, or is it a general agricultural problem where these issues come up?
Well, it's mainly to do with the farmer, because at the end of the day, when you're farming or you're trying to get into commercial farming, the whole idea is you want to be able to sell your produce so that you can farm more, expand, as well as live off whatever income you're getting. So for the farmer, it's the farmer that faces that problem mainly, and that's what we're working on trying to address.
And if you're a first-time farmer now or wanting to get into this agricultural sector, what can you do to avoid falling into these traps?
Well, the first thing that you can do to avoid is to get access to information as much as possible, which is where even platforms like the Emerging Farmers Exchange come in, where you're getting your pricing information, you know how much your produce is worth, you know what's the market-related pricing, and then that gives you more power to actually negotiate with a potential buyer of your agricultural produce. So information is critical, and that will allay a lot of these problems as a start. Yeah.
And can you tell us what the current agricultural sort of economy or market looks like in general in South Africa? Because a lot of us don't actually know what our farming status is like.
Well, the current agricultural market, from the side that we're trying to address it, the emerging farmer side, it's a bit fragmented in the sense that there's little to no access when it comes to the market. When it comes to knowledge, these farmers, they're just farming the way they know how, not really using best farming practices at the moment. So in that space, there's a lot that needs to be done. There's a lot of organization that actually needs to happen. There are a lot of resources that need to be channeled towards that, that emerging farmers side, which is where we are also trying to come in and to address some of those challenges and problems that are within that sector.
And from the customer's perspective now, how do we make our decisions when we're buying farm produce? How have you seen that our buying power works out there?
Well, I think for the most part, from a customer's perspective, given the current state of things, many people make their buying decisions based on what they have in their pockets. So it just comes down to what's more cost effective, or their needs at that specific time, or availability of certain agricultural produce or whatever it is they want to buy. So yeah, that's how I would say from the customer's perspective, the market is currently structured. It's more about what's available, how much can I spend, or how much do I have available to spend more than anything else.
And what decisions can the farmer make in order to use that to his advantage?
Well, in order to use that to his advantage, the farmer, by gaining more market intelligence or more market information, he's able to then farm what he knows has demand, or what people are actually into, or he can try to cater for specific markets. For example, he can choose to go into fruits and vegetables. If he decides, or if from where he's located and his soil type, etc., if it's suited for specific fruits and vegetables, and if there's a demand for it, that sort of information can then guide him to know what he can farm that can give him the most income, and actually make his life better, as well as adding value to the customer.
Sure, definitely. Yeah. Thank you so much. Gained a lot of information, and what I got, the key thing is that access to information and access to markets is very, very important.
My pleasure.
Thank you. That's all from me right here, Pieterson, on The Big Interview. Next week, you don't want to miss out on our show as our competition progresses. We learn how to improve ourselves as entrepreneurs, and we chat to another expert on The Big Interview. Before I go, don't forget to connect with us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, The Green City Startup, and on Twitter @TheGC Startup. That's all from the GCS team and me, Pieterson. Cheerio.